Well, it's election season, right? And there is always a lot to talk about. All kinds of rallies have been going on. We're hoping we'll be able to give you a background, a backstory to the conversation we're about to have now, given what happened in Ibadan or your state. And that's exactly what we should be talking about right now. And of course, the chief spokesperson, Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, joins us here in the studio, Dr. Yunusa Tanko. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, you've been on the road for long enough.
Sure.
For you, what's different between previous campaigns that you have been a part of and this one?
One of the major things that is so different and so emotional for me is the statement made by a comrade presidential candidate of our party, the CNC in waiting. He said this. He said Nigerians have not gotten the deserved leadership. That 80% of the Nigerian people are working for the Nigerian government. And 20% of that is what the government is rewarding. It's so sad. And to confirm this particular situation, that was when the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics said that 133 million Nigerians are in poverty out of 200 million people.
How is that different from what people have
Good.
before?
The difference here is that he said, let me change the narrative.
Every
133 people.
Every politician has said that, Dr. Tanko. Every politician, everyone who wants to become president or governor has
We will justify this particular difference by the 7-point agenda of the Labour Party presidential candidate.
Everyone comes with an agenda.
But here we have an agenda that is physical and practicable.
You still haven't told me what's different.
One, the difference is that we are changing the narrative from a consumption nation to a production nation. You know, I know, that Nigerians are indebted to about almost 9-point-something trillion.
That statement, just a second, on that, on that one, so we take it one after the other. Yes. That particular statement is in the front page of a book written by Professor Yebanji Ilaroyinka in 2017. So it's not something original to your party.
Of course, I am not claiming the originality, but I am saying that we are providing solution to it. And the provision of solution is simple. While our presidential candidate moved from Maiduguri on his way to Abuja, he noticed the area space. You know that Nigeria is occupied by a landmass of 920 square kilometers. And here, we are underutilized. And so he said that the wealth of this country is in the hands of the northern people because of the area space. One state, Niger State, can turn around the economy of this country. Let's now domicile and change the narrative by producing, encouraging and empowering the teeming population in the north, making them to a productive use to empower our country and change the narrative. While they bring in goods to us, we will now be tripling what we take out of this country as we speak today.
How is the federal government going to be a part of that when the land you're talking about is controlled by the states?
In partnership with the state government. Because the state government have to contribute their quota because the federal government is in control of the total population and the total land.
Has your party and your candidate been able to even analyze why this partnership between the federal government and states have not happened? Because for as long as I can remember, the Obasanjo government between 1999 and 2007 or thereabout also wanted to change the narrative, move people from consumption to production by championing agricultural productions and all of those things. And up until this moment, it would seem like that was like some kind of pipe dream. So what is it that hinders, hampers, or slows down or inhibits the partnership between the federal government and states?
That is what is contained in the 4th position of our 7-point agenda. He said there's going to be an effective reform in the institution and legal reform to provide good governance for the Nigerian people. In that case, those areas where we have challenges as regard to law that hinders the use of lands and other apparatus that can help the government to perform will be taken care of.
Is that to
and
say
also,
that the National Economic Council is not functional or active enough?
We, you and I and Nigerians can attest to it if it is functional. If it is functional, Nigerians wouldn't have been complaining.
So is that to say that then your government is looking at stepping down the National Economic Council to come up with this idea you're talking about?
Those are contained in the legal reform in which we intend to do, to fight corruption and to ensure that laws that can be of benefit to the Nigerian peoples are provided.
Let's break this down.
Yes.
I think the last time I was in a conversation with you was in Abuja.
Exactly.
Not under the Labour Party, you were under the NC front.
Yes.
I imagine. And now things have since morphed into this. So all of that energy is being pumped into the Labour Party and the candidacy of Mr. Obi. You said earlier on that he spoke about 80% of Nigerians working for the government, I imagine, and only 20% earning from it. I imagine you're saying that, okay, 80%, that's 160 million Nigerians working for the government, even though, I mean, our population says about 40% are under 18. So, I mean, essentially, we don't have as much as 80%, but I just want to understand that context of 80% working for Nigeria and 20% earning. Help us understand that better.
Well, what we are trying to say is that majority of Nigerians are working their, sorry if I can use the word.
No, I understand what you're about to say.
They are working so hard to ensure that the nation survive as a country. But while they are working hard, the government of the day and previous ones have only stifled them. Today, at a point in time, we are buying fuel at about 87 naira per liter. Today is 250. At a point in time, we are buying a bag of rice at 8,700. Today, it's about how much? You can do the mathematics. You can see. And today, as we move, the dollar and the naira has skyrocketed. And so the people are being stifled. Yesterday, a friend of mine who was a doctor has left the shore of this country because we are continuously denying the people the right for survival. And so they are looking for a way out of this country, which is totally unacceptable. And that is the reason why we are so happy that for the first time in the history of Nigeria, Comrade Peter Obi, when he traveled out of the country, you will always see the huge cry. But he has been able to connect with the Nigerian people. And so we are bringing back everybody through his good leadership to emancipate Nigeria from the shackle of poverty. And to confirm that, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics did their own mathematics, even if we give you a statistics and saying 80%. Now, it's also recognized that particular, if it's 70 to 80% of the Nigerian people are in abject poverty, not said by Peter Obi, not said by me, but the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics under this particular government.
So I mean, there have been questions about your candidate's manifesto, but it looks like you're anchoring it around the 7-point agenda.
True.
So moving forward, is that the manifesto?
Of course.
Now you refer to him as comrade.
Yes, I do.
I don't know what has changed, but will that be his manifesto now, the 7-point agenda?
The 7-point agenda is the summary of the total content inside the manifesto. And of course, you heard him say...
The manifesto, is it ready?
Yeah, it is ready. He will unveil it officially. Okay. And he has spoken about it in the business meeting that he held here in Lagos. And he always mentioned it even in Ibadan when we were in Ibadan. So that is the summary of the content of the manifesto.
Let's talk about the rally in Ibadan. I mean,
yes.
Because it was, I wonder, I think he was asking if it's the biggest so far for the Labour Party. Is that the biggest?
We keep on moving. We can't say biggest. There's a lot going on.
No, I'm saying, is it bigger than the previous ones?
We had a mammoth crowd in Edo State. It covered the whole city. So it's not even in the hall. So we can say Edo was even bigger. But then here, we were able to have a peaceful rally that the Ibadan people show us love. Nobody thought we could get that kind of numbers in Ibadan.
Speaking of the peaceful aspect, I know there are other things that happened, but regarding this, there was a video that made rounds, images of a certain man who was said to have been arrested with a knife or a dagger, a weapon, and then they said that, well, thankfully he was arrested. I know you put out a statement.
Yes, I did.
What exactly was that about?
There are internal security arrangements by the party and the invited guests. And one of those particular individuals is a security operative for internal security.
Is it with the police, the DSS?
No, of course he was, but they've already profiled him, and of course he will be released because...
No, I mean, like, is he part of the police?
Oh, no, I said
DSS?
internal. I said internal security arrangement. Apart from the DSS or the conventional, we have our own internal. Well. Yes, that was all.
Because I'm looking at the guidelines for campaigning. It was released by INEC yesterday, and it says that no person attending a political rally or procession shall be in possession of any offensive weapon except a police officer or a member of a security agency authorized to carry arms and is specifically posted to be present at that political rally or procession. So essentially it has to be an authorized, maybe member of a police or any other security agency. But you say it's an internal security.
Exactly.
So help us understand, is it any of the security agencies of government?
I have been mentioning that it's an internal security. Unfortunately, he was carrying a weapon, and then that was why the police was called in to look at it and profile him and do what is expected the police to do. So that has been sorted out. Okay,
so him bearing a weapon, don't you think it goes against the guidelines?
I just told you that we involve the police in it so that they can deal with the matter according to the rule of law, because we operate under the rule of law.
Okay, so
are any of your internal security people, are they sanctioned to carry any form of weapon?
No, none of them is sanctioned because we follow the rule of law. We are not allowed to carry any weapon based on the provisions of the law. So unfortunately he was, but then we now have to involve the police so that they can profile him and know exactly what they are. And then he was trying to make sure that not even the principal himself, he was actually with another group.
Right.
He was not even sanctioned under the Labour Party. But of course, everybody that comes here came under our invitation. Quite all right. But the truth about it is that he was representing a particular group and protecting it, so he comes under the invitation.
So exactly what, when you say protecting, exactly what are your internal security officials supposed to do?
You know, we've been under serious attack. It started from Lagos. When the registration of voters started, our people were denied and they were being attacked by thugs right here in Lagos. And when we move around again, we had series of denials right there in Lafia, who were denied using of the state's popular known venues. We had similar situation in Edo, that we had to result into using that particular, and then the whole people now engulf the whole city completely to show their sign of acceptance of Comrade Peter Obi. And at the same time, we have issues in Ebonyi, Kogi, our billboards and everything were being destroyed. There is near to perfect position that they are being attacked physically. So some other people who feel that we need to have protection provided their own security. So that particular incident happened under that particular scenario because of the situation that we are seeing. So we didn't want to take any chances by providing security around the guests that we invited.
Right.
Unfortunately, that particular person was carrying a weapon against the provisions of the law.
Okay, so quite a number of other issues came up just before. I mean, there were a lot of people waiting for the arrival of your candidate in Ibadan. And then reports started filtering in about the obedient plane, whether it was grounded, and then a statement was put out saying that it was grounded by powers that be. And, I mean, there has been a response from the NCA and all of that. But what is this story around the obedient plane? Was he grounded? Was it delayed? Was it a technical issue that had to be maybe returned back to the airport? What exactly happened?
Well, the truth about it is that for the first time in the history of this country, we're providing a more sophisticated and more branded way of campaign. And a lot of people didn't like it.
How do you mean? The plane?
Yeah, the plane was branded. No, but you know it was branded. Okay. It was branded.
Is that the sophistication you talk about?
Well, of course, because a lot of people use commercial and other way of arriving at the place. But you can see, our principal arrived at any convened ground with a branded plane, and at the same time, sometimes using choppers to ensure that he is there at that particular point in time. I can tell you, that was the first time in this country, and a lot of people are not really happy about it. So technically, a lot of things come into play. Whether they use technicalities to ground the plane or they use forcefulness to them, but the truth about it is that that plane was not allowed to take off from Abuja, where a lot of our people were supposed to be at the campaign ground. But eventually, you see, there's a way in which this particular campaign is going. There's a hand of God in it. Every way they try to block us, we appear strong and steady, and we are moving. Every time they try to bring us down using any form of position, we will debunk it and then they become the laughing stock. Even when they try to even use some of our words against us, even from our background, we put them to shame and the people take them. So gradually, this particular movement has a destination. Okay, so not by you, not by me, not by anybody, but God.
So you're saying that indeed that the plane was grounded?
Of course it was.
Because, I mean, the spokesperson of the NCA is quoted as saying that the NCA didn't ground any aircraft. The aircraft said to be grounded is mere sensationalism. The reason was that the flight crew made an air return soon after takeoff, as they had an issue they needed to come back and correct. I don't know if you were in the plane or if you were close to what exactly happened, but does that represent what played out?
Not true, because for me, I was actually ahead of the major team that left Abuja. But from the report I got, that the plane was not allowed to move because of some technical issue. Then digging deep, some of them refer to the fact that the plane was not allowed to leave because majority of them were at the airport. I was calling them to know, but they weren't allowed to move. So these are a sequence of events that has happened, that we are so glad in a way that they are even making us more popular. Any attempt whatsoever to derail any of our activities is making us more popular and endearing us to the heart of the Nigerian people.
Okay, let's talk about one of the biggest highlights from that campaign and just get a sense of how this might impact on this movement you talked about. Chief Ayo Adebanjo was at that event, and I think it was a big thing for a lot of people.
Sure.
I mean, the leader of Afenifere in an ancient, town of Ibadan, which is very cultural, the Yoruba people. And then he reiterated his support for your candidate. And I wonder how significant this is for your candidate, because, I mean, we don't know the membership of Afenifere, hundreds, thousands, maybe even more, but we're not able to put a finger to it. So how much can that translate to votes, essentially?
For a 94-year-old person, if I'm not mistaken about his age, for him to have moved out of his comfort zone and to come and endorse Comrade Peter Obi live was a huge success and so elated. Not only to us as a people, as a group, or as a party, but to the entire Nigerian people. And this is my reason. He has a domain. He comes from a different group. He's a Yoruba man, but he's interested in the unity of this country. He knows the danger in which we are facing. Is it the decay in the economy, or the infrastructural development, or the tribal sentiment that is dividing this country, or the fact that our children cannot go to school comfortably and be sure that they can graduate, or the issue of unemployment and completely dehumanization of the Nigerian people, locally and internationally. And he said, it is time for us to unite this country. It is time to rescue this country. It is time for us to ensure that for once, those that have been crying for marginalization are included in the governance. That is exactly what he did. And I think every sane human being, every sane Nigerian should follow the cue of Papa. Papa was not tribalistic. Papa was not sentimental. Papa was not degrading himself in his own level of credibility. But what he brings into the fore is unifying a country.
So in terms of the electoral value...
Electoral value is huge. It's huge because those who are doubting, those who do not believe that Nigerian can easily come out of the scuffle and thinking that we cannot be united will. And I'm telling you, this particular action will be followed suit by other people.
So you think that he's speaking perhaps for the Yoruba people?
Not, he gone beyond that. He's speaking in the interest of the Nigerian people.
Dr. Tanko, on that, because I know Kayode may want to move away from it.
Yeah.
There are those who would reckon that in 1999, before the 1999 election, Afenifere did not support a Yoruba man. And that Yoruba man won. Did not support the candidate at the time, and the candidate won. And that's not the first time, it's not the second time either.
Exactly.
So right now, Afenifere is also supporting someone else. And
not party,
so there are those who are, he's Afenifere leader. So there are those who are also questioning how going back to Kade's question, if their candidacy or adoption of someone else or whichever candidate at a particular time did not convert to votes of victory for the candidate they supported, what's the assurance that it's going to happen this time?
Well, don't forget also, at a point in time in the North, the Arewa Consultative Forum did not support a candidate, but the candidate also won. So, and then it's not a narrative that can be justiciable. Even though at a particular time in which they did not support that particular candidate, they have their reasons. But this particular situation is completely different.
How is it different? Because, you also validated what I said earlier, because a socio-political group, do they have that significant electoral value that will convert to victory?
Exactly. When it comes to the issue of the decay and the division in this country, don't forget in 2015, we had similar situation where the country was almost divided to a point of pieces. We are talking about rescuing Nigeria, for crying out loud. Are you happy with the situation that we find ourselves? Kayode, are you happy? Nigerians, are they happy? None of us, we are not happy.
Every politician
this is a different scenario. It's not about politics this time around. It's gone beyond politics. It's about the rescuing of this country. We are going down.
A couple of issues to also raise, Dr. Tanko. Two issues, really. First is, regarding the support, Mr. Babachir Lawal is the most recent to support your candidate. He still says he's in the APC, but he's supporting your candidate. And this morning, other members of his group, which we have seen them speak together in recent times, says, well, he's on his own on that one, that they're not on supporting Obidati candidacy with him. And I wonder how you're receiving that. It looks like mixed feelings, especially because he says that your candidate is the one that answers the questions of, ethnicity balance and religious balance. So does your candidate want to, carry that, saying that, okay, well, yeah, it's a turn of the Southeast, because that's essentially what it's been said, for the sake of equity and fairness. Does he like that kind of tag, saying that I'm the solution to the religious and perhaps ethnicity imbalance?
Comrade Peter Obi did not project himself from the ethnic background. He didn't at all. He said that don't vote for me because I'm an Igbo man. Don't vote for me because I'm a Christian. Vote for me because I'm a Nigerian. The target is about Nigeria. But if tribes and religious groups decide to endorse him, we will appreciate it. The same scenario is not different from the Afenene group that happened with Babachir and Dogara. In fact, we are happy. We are very glad with the fact that at least some people are seeing the light. Look at it. There is obedience in every household of Nigeria.
Why is it every sane Nigerian should support your candidate? So would you consider those not supporting them as not sane?
No. They have their reason. We will talk to them and get them on the moral situation, just like what I'm doing right now. You look at your home. Look at your home right now. Don't go anywhere. Where have you found short? Is it in terms of the children education, or in terms of the dwindling economic situation? Or is it in the time of the way in which Nigerians look at you elsewhere? Or in the fact that probably that you are indebted to almost how many trillions of naira? You are not even sure. So it's a decay situation. Every Nigerian that joined us in this particular struggle is attempting to rescue the country from the decay in which we find ourselves.
By the way,
it's simple.
Are you promising that your candidate will not borrow?
Borrow? We are taking, within the 4 years in his office, he said that we are going to change the level of our inflation rate from 33.
No, this is about borrowing.
No. That's why we are interested in production.
So you will not borrow?
No, we are not interested. We will look at the possibility, but we will major more on trying to make sure that the Nigerian situation is stable. Quite different from what we are seeing.
Well, let's talk about election management now, because it's also a big one.
Yes.
It's about 92 days to the elections. And
exactly.
Lots of comments about, what will be deployed, BVAS, IREV, and all of that. Well, it looks like the APC might be making a U-turn, especially from the reports coming up today. But I wonder, what is the position of your party regarding the use of BVAS and IREV, especially because there are questions about, electricity supply, network, and all of that raised by the APC chairman?
Oh, law of karma. is so interesting. History has a way of repeating itself. In 2015, this same leadership, this same party came to us when I was IPAC chairman. They were kicking against the use of accreditation machine. The same position.
You mean the APC?
Yes, the APC. The same position that you are mentioning. That time it was the PDP in government. And they said that the PDP is trying to manipulate the system, steal people's vote. And so we must support the idea of the using of the accreditation machine. Unfortunately for them, they didn't know that the position of the IPAC as at that time was we would support that particular use of accreditation machine for clarity and ensuring credible election. So today, the same people who were agitating against the use of the accreditation machine at that time are the same people now, voice for us, doing more than worse situation that the previous government had done, demanding that the beavers and all other apparatus should not be used.
That's not what the APC chairman said.
No.
The APC chairman said, just a second, okay. The APC chairman said that, look, we want confidence from INEC 100% that this technology that is being deployed is going to be effective. He raised the issues that Kayode, pointed out, that look, these are drop downs, these are let downs, these are points that if we are not careful, that is the reason that he said he doubts that we have 100% technology network coverage all over the nation. That that he says that their party needs conviction that there will be no problem.
But they have network to withdraw money everywhere in this country. When it comes to election, they don't have network.
So is it selective network?
Yes, let me tell you, the truth is clear that they are attempting to manipulate the system and circumvent the rule of law and then suppress the will of the people.
You think that's what they're trying to do?
Of course, it's very clear.
Okay.
And what options are available to Labour?
Of course, the Electoral Act, Section 64, 4, 5, and 6 is clear. In that time, we didn't even have a legal backing. But here we have a legal backing. And so if they are not satisfied, they should go to the court.
Okay. Well, there are so many other issues to raise with you, maybe in other days to come.
91 days?
Well, in those 91 days, he's still... Well, we may not be able to have you for 91 days, but we have to thank you very much for being here. Dr. Yunusa Tanko is Chief Spokesperson, Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And we say amen.